This is your Week 5 intervention, and this is the topic regarding the candy store or the fruit stand. It's the idea of buying items that have a certain price for a certain quantity, and you have to figure out whether you can afford to buy those items or you can't. So we're going to have a couple of problems to work today. Each of the problems has 4 parts, so there's going to be a lot of work to get ready for this practice test, or for the intervention test, I should say. But that's what you want. You want the opportunity to have lots of practice before you take another test. So let's go ahead and get started. I would suggest you do yours on scratch paper or binder paper. I'm going to do mine on the screen, but I'm going to shrink every answer when I'm done, and you don't have that option on your paper. So let's start with problem A, the gummies. So we have gummies that we're buying. We're buying 3 pounds of gummies. 3 pounds of gummies. And we are told that gummies are sold by the 3/4 of a pound. So we have to divide that by 3/4. The question is, how many times can 3/4 go into 3? When we do division with fractions, we turn that into multiplication. So we turn it into 3 times 4 over 3. We'll make that a 3 over 1. We're able to do some canceling on this one, and we are left with 4. That's how many 3/4 there are in 3. Then we look back at our menu and we can see that it's $1.50 for every 3/4 of a pound, which means we're multiplying the 4 times the $1.50 we're buying. If you put them in little bags and each bag had 3/4 of a pound in it, you're making 4 bags that each have 3/4 of a pound. And when you multiply 4 times $1.50, you get $6. And $6 is the cost of the gummies. The second part of this is buying 1 1/2 pounds of suckers. So we have 1 1/2 pounds. That's how much we're purchasing. If we look over here, we see suckers are sold by the 1/4 of a pound. So we want to know, we're going to divide. We're asking ourselves the question, how many times does 1/4 go into 1 1/2? Again, we're going to change this to a multiplication problem. So we're going to take the 1 1/2 and we're going to make it into an improper fraction. So in 1 1/2, there are a total of 3 halves. And we're multiplying that by the reciprocal of the 1/4. So that's 4 over 1. Once again, opportunity to cancel. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 4 twice. We're left with 3 times 2 is 6 over 1, which is 6. So we know that in 1 1/2, there are 6 groups of 1/4, 6 of these in this. Now we're going to multiply that, because suckers are sold 50 cents for every 1/4 of a pound. We have 6 1/4, so we have 6 times 50 cents, and that's $3. If you add those together, altogether that's $9. You have $8 to spend. No, you cannot buy that one. All right. Let's shrink this and go to the next one. Now, you might be looking ahead at this saying, man, I've got a lot of problems to do. That's true. That's absolutely true. I'm not going to tell you don't. I'm not going to apologize for giving you this many. Again, when you're not doing something correctly yet, you need to practice to get better at it. That's what we're doing here, is we're practicing. All right, let's get rid of these things from our menu because we're going to use different items this next time. So for the second one, for part B, we're buying 2 pounds of sour heads. So here are sour heads. Sour heads are sold by the 1/4. So 2 divided by 1/4. Well, let's do this one just asking ourselves, how many times does 1/4 go into one hole? Well, if it's 1/4, it goes in 4 times. So into 2, it goes a total of 8 times. Now, we'll solve this to see if that's right. We multiply by the reciprocal, and yes, we get 8. Each of those packs of sour heads costs 75 cents. So we need to multiply that 8 now by 75 cents. Well, 75 cents 2 times is $1.50. And so 8 times, it's going to be $6. Sounds like we've spent most of our $8 already, doesn't it? Okay, let's try the second one. We're buying, let me just put that up here before I forget. So we're spending $6 for sour heads. Now let's look at our suckers. So we're buying 2 pounds of suckers. Here are suckers again. We know that they cost, or they're sold by the 1/4. Well, we just did a 2 divided by a 4th. We don't need to do that again. We get 8. 8 times 50 cents. That gives us $4. So we have $4 up here. And that's going to be $10, which means that's also a no. All right. Let's get that one out of the way. And let's do letter C. So this time we're buying 3 pounds of suckers. This is part C. We're buying 3 pounds of suckers. We know suckers are sold by the 1/4. Let me get rid of the stuff I don't need over here, but I'm going to keep that 1/4 because that's the one I'm using now. So suckers are sold by the 1/4. How many 1/4s in 3? Well, if there are 4 1/4s in 1, and you do that 3 times, you have 12 1/4s in 3. You have 12 times 50 cents, $6. $6 is a popular thing to pay for the first item here, isn't it? Then we also are buying 1 pound of gummies. And the gummies are sold in 3/4 of a pound. So if we're going to buy 1 pound of gummies, and gummies are sold by the 3/4, we're going to have a little more than that $1.50, but not as much as $3. So we're going to be dividing that by 3/4. How many times does 3/4 go into 1? Well, it goes in more than 1 full time. So here's where we're really going to need to use our multiplication. We're going to have this. Can't simplify anything. We have 4 over 3. And each of those is $1.50. Notice I set that up as a fraction since my other part's a fraction. So 4 times $1.50, well, 4 times $1 is $4, and 4 times 50 cents is $2. So that's $6 divided by 3 over 1. 3 over 1 is 3, so 6 divided by 3 is 2. Add those together, you get $8. And $8 would make this a yes. So that one was a little more challenging because this ended up, when we got to this part, we were multiplying our price by a fraction amount, but that's all right. You're capable of handling that. Just follow the steps and think about it logically, and you'll do fine with it. All right, let's go ahead and move that out of the way and do our last one. So in our last one, we had 3 1/2 pounds of chocolate. Let me get rid of all these extra things in my table that I don't need. 3 1/2 pounds of chocolate. Here's the chocolate sold by the 1/2 pound. So we're dividing that by 1/2. So that's the same as 3 1/2 is 3 halves times 2 over 1. I said 3 halves. That was my mistake. 7 halves. You probably caught that. You probably said, wait a minute. You probably said, hang on a second. That's not 3 halves. That's 7 halves. You're right. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 makes 7. So 7 halves. We can do some canceling. Those cancel out. We're left with 7 over 1, which is 7, times the chocolate is sold $1 each one. So there's $7 worth of chocolate. Move this out of the way so we can write in that $7 worth of chocolate. So the chocolate is $7. Now we have a 1/2 pound of suckers. So we're buying 1/2 pound of suckers, and they're sold by the 1/4 of a pound. Well, a 1/4 goes into a half 2 times. Each one of those costs 50 cents, which gives you 50 cents times 2. That's $1. Add those together. Gives us $8. And that gives us another yes. Okay, that's the first half of this video. Why don't you take a little break, review your answers on the second half, and then we'll pick that up here after you have a chance to look over your work. See if there's anything, after doing this first one, is there anything you need to change? Okay, you've had a chance to look over your work. Let's go ahead and finish this up. So once again, we're looking at the same type of idea. We're buying a product. We're buying a certain amount of that product, and each portion of it is priced a certain way. So once again, when you look, for example, at this peaches, every time you buy peaches, they're priced every 3/4 costs $1.50. So when we do our first problem, where we're buying, this is problem A, where we're buying 1 1/2 pounds of peaches, the first thing we have to ask ourselves is how many times can 3/4 go into 1 1/2? So we can think about it. Think about 3/4 being like 75 cents, 1 1/2 being $1.50. That goes in twice. We can do it mathematically. So we change this first number into an improper fraction. In 1 1/2, there are 3 halves. 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 makes 3. We multiply it by the reciprocal. So instead of dividing by 3/4, we multiply it by 4 over 3. And when we do that, we get 3 times 4 is 12 over 6. Now you might be saying, wait, you could do all kinds of simplifying. I could have. And if you did all kinds of simplifying, that's fine. I'm just going to do it out this way. It doesn't mean you have to do it exactly the way that I do it. So I have my 2 units, my 2 groups. Each group costs me 50 cents. 2 groups of 50 cents, $1. Let's see, she has $3 to spend. So I've spent $1 of my $3. Now I'm going to buy 2 pounds of apples. So let's go shopping for my apples next. And I have 2 pounds of apples divided by, apples come by the pound. Well, that's an easy one. 2 divided by 1 is 2. Times, you can show that times sign either way. I'm going to show it this way, I don't know why, just because. 2 times $1.20 is $2.40. So I'm going to add $2.40 plus my other dollar. That would be $3.40. That would be too much money. Julie doesn't have that much money. Okay, let's put that one away. Get rid of that one, and let's look at our next one. Our next one, B, we're buying 1 1/2 pound of peaches. 1 1/2 divided by, and let's get rid of all this. Start from scratch. Divided by peaches, which come by the 3/4. So divided by 3/4. How many times does 3/4 go into 1 1/2? Well, 3/4 goes into 1 1/2 2 times. We've seen this a couple times already. You can go back and look at your work, and you will see that 1 1/2 divided by 3/4 is twice. Times, we said peaches are 50 cents. And we're going to have $1. Now, you might have said, wait a minute. You did that exact same problem above. You're right. We did that exact same problem above. So if you had it from before, fantastic. The second part of this purchase is 1 pound of plums. 1 pound of plums. Plums are sold by the 1/2 pound. 1/2 goes into 1 twice. Times, plums are 75 cents. 75 cents times 2 is $1.50. So plus $1.50. That is $2.50. And that's a yes. That's something that Julie can afford. Okay, let's get rid of this one. And again, you're doing this on binder paper, you're doing this on scratch paper, so you're able to save all of yours. I'm trying to do all mine on the same screen you're looking at. So next one we're buying is 2 pounds. This is part C. We're buying 2 pounds of plums. And our plums right here are sold by the 1/2 pound. After you do this just a little while, you'll start getting really good at recognizing things without having to do a lot of algorithms, which is what I'm going to do right now is called the algorithm. 2 divided by 1/2 is the same as 2 times the reciprocal, 2 over 1. You'll get good at seeing these and going, oh, I know, 1/2 goes into 2 4 times. It goes into 1 twice, so it goes into 2 4 times. It would go into 3 6 times. It would go into 10 or into 5 10 times, and so on. So plums, 4 times 75 cents. Well, we already did 1 pound of plums. 2 times 75 cents was $1. 4 times 75 cents is $3. And since she's not buying anything else and she has $3, that's a yes. All right, last one. The video is approaching 20 minutes. This will probably be the longest video we record all year. That's all right. This is one where you need lots of practice, and so we're giving you lots of practice. Last one. We're buying, this is D now, we're buying a half a pound of grapes. So there are the grapes. So the grapes sell by the fourth of a pound. 1/4 goes into 1/2 2 times. 2 times 80 cents equals $1.60. I'm going to move my work out of the way just a little bit so we can write that in. $1.60 for the grapes plus, all right, let's see what else we've got. We've got 1 pound of plums. Well, we did 1 pound of plums right there, $1.50. So let's just go ahead and use that. Let's use our prior knowledge, $1.50. And for our work, we'll just point right there. That was the work we did. We already did this. There's absolutely no reason to do it again. 160 plus 150 totals $3.10. And since she only has $3 to spend, that's a no. Okay, so there you go. That is exactly how you do these. Make sure you have corrected your work and then bring it to class with all of your work. I want to see all your work. If you just bring me a paper with answers on it with no work, I'm going to ask you to do it again. So bring all your work. Let me know you're ready to take a test, and that will be your ticket to test.